Okay, yesterday I was rambling about tree-lined streets, or street-lined trees, I was saying. Take a look. Palo Alto, California, famous for tree-lined streets. Streets lined with trees. There's a lot of good things going on here. One, ambient temperature is lower. I mean, we have lush, moist, this is the middle of a drought. We have folks who are willing to spend on water. So that's a luxury and it's a treat. And when you have that going on, if you can't beat them, join them, enjoy it. I see health. I see health all around. Trees grown right in the lawn can be a recipe for disaster. Sycamores aren't I call them sycamores. They're London plane trees. They're the genus Platanus, which our California sycamore is. A lot of people would tell me they're plane trees, and that's fine. We get to call them what we want, just so long as somebody gets the general gist of it. We have concrete streets. Amazingly, very little root heaving. These species of Platanus kind of famously good at not picking up the pavement. Take a look over here. The roots will pour over the pavement rather than go under and lift it up. See how that looks like liquid roots? There are places in Willow Glen where the roots are just pouring over the edge of the sidewalk as if they're molten and hardening. Anyway, I just want to point out street-lined trees and tree-lined streets. And Palo Alto is one of the greatest tree cities around the Bay Area. And it's a sign of sophistication, affluence, being well-to-do, to have trees so you can fake it. If you're not sophisticated and you're not affluent, you're not well-to-do, you can still cultivate a nice healthy tree and look the part. It's kind of like putting on airs. I'm not a classist by any means, and I do see that as you travel through lower and lower income levels around cities, the trees reflect the economic status a lot of the time. And I'll tell you one thing that goes on. These trees here are protected. They're part of the commons. The city has rules, and the rules keep these streets tree lined. If there were no rules, over the years, whoever called ownership on the tree on their lawn could have it cut down or just topped. And this is what happens in towns like San Jose. For instance, the rules have been let go, and the homeowner has, the homeowners have their liberty to do what they want with their tree, which is fine. It's America. We got our liberties. This is not a political discussion, but it does tiptoe up to the edge of politics, because the city says you can't prune the trees but one way, the right way, and they've created a rule, and everybody has to either live with it or move somewhere else. I like that rule. And then you go to another town where they say we don't have the enforcement or capabilities or what have you, and you do what you want with your tree. Okay, so let's say this neighbor says, I hate this oak tree, chop all the branches off, I want it smaller, it's dropping leaves on my roof. Common. You'd be surprised how many people totally remove a tree because some leaves on their roof. Second neighbor says, I want to replace this with a little crepe myrtle. Third neighbor says, I want to replace mine with a redwood, or I want to have all concrete out to the edge. You ever been in a neighborhood where the people tear out all the landscaping and put in all concrete or pavers? Well, we have permeability rules. You have to have a certain amount of permeable landscape because the soil, the water table has to be replenished. The water table is part of the commons. Water rights are a funny thing, but if you look at Santa Clara Valley Water District's percolation program, they are trying very hard to get rainfall to soak into the dirt, so it will go back to the water table, the aquifer. that we can draw from it again in the future. When you pave your whole yard, you're blocking off access to replenish the communal supply of water under the earth. See how this becomes political? See, trees and water and soil and landscaping, it's all tied together. The commons is the water table under the earth. It travels underneath everybody's feet, and wells can pull it up. The shade from these trees works together to create lower ambient temperatures on hot days, cleaner air, happier, healthier environment. These trees are not expensive. They grow on their own. What's expensive is managing rules that maintain what's best for the common good. So, this sounds a little socialist, but when you're looking at communities, that's social, that's society, the commons, what's best for everybody is best for the group. We're a tribe on the block. This is our tribe. The whole tribe thrives when everybody works together. Well, the thriving here, looking at a tree-lined street. Go around the Bay Area and find out how few of these kinds of streets are left. People don't like, oh, the roots got into my septic. Kill the whole tree versus just trim out the roots and replace the septic every 20, 30, 40 years. Oh, the tree lifted up my sidewalk. Take it out. Sidewalks are, you're looking at a couple grand, maybe, to fix the sidewalk versus 5, 6, 7, 8,000 maybe to remove the tree and replace it with a little itty bitty baby tree. And then little bitty baby trees, they fall outside of the heritage tree rules, so you can abuse the heck out of it and no more tree rules apply to that tree because it's too little. This is some municipalities. You want to find a loophole? There are many loopholes. There's no enforcement. So what we like is the basics of peer pressure on nice blocks like this. It's the way it is. Nobody wants to be the deadbeat on the block with the dead, nasty yard, or the chopped up, butchered tree, or the broken down car in the driveway. So you get people who want to keep up with the Joneses and impress their neighbors. So, you have lawns that come right together where there's a property line, but nobody's doing something different on one side or the other. They're cooperating. There's so much cooperation in a neighborhood like this. For folks who don't want to cooperate in a neighborhood, they ought to move into a condo, an apartment, or out into the country. But if you're going to move into the commons, that's the burbs. That's the village. You got to be a villager to live in the village. And you got to work together with the neighborhood on your trees. So, that's a weird rant. I didn't have a plan for this, but tree-lined streets apparently really get me going. I don't know. We'll see where this sits. Maybe people will start commenting on my stuff. I'm sure I'll get some hate mail. Remember, anger is fear, and fear is a disease. Don't be afraid. Be brave. Feels good.